because I cannot find the story that a novel requires, until a visit to Holland 5 years ago changed everything. I had come to lecture, and, as part of my compensation, requested and was granted a Spinoza Day. The secretary of the Dutch Spinoza Association and a leading Spinoza philosopher agreed to spend a day with me visiting all the important Spinoza sites, his dwellings, his burial place, and the main attraction, the Spinoza Museum in Rheinsberg. It was there I had an epiphany. I entered the Spinoza Museum in Rheinsberg, about a 45-minute drive from Amsterdam, with keen anticipation, looking for what? Perhaps an encounter with the spirit of Spinoza, perhaps a story. But entering the museum, I was immediately disappointed. I doubted that this small, sparse museum could bring me closer to Spinoza. The only remotely personal items were the 151 volumes of Spinoza's own library, and I turned immediately to them. My hosts permitted me free access, and I picked up one 17th-century book after another, smelling and holding them, thrilled to touch objects that had once been touched by Spinoza's hands. But my reverie was soon interrupted by my host. Of course, Dr. Yalom, his possessions, bed, clothes, shoes, pens, and books, were auctioned off after his death to pay funeral expenses. The books were sold and scattered far and wide. But fortunately, the notary made a complete list of those books prior to the auction, and over 200 years later a Jewish philanthropist reassembled most of the same titles, the same editions from the same years and cities of publication. So we call it Spinoza's library, but it's really a replica. His fingers never touched these books. I turned away from the library and gazed at the portrait of Spinoza hanging on the wall, and soon felt myself melting into those huge, sad, oval, heavy-lidded eyes, almost a mystical experience, a rare thing for me. But then my host said, "You may not know this, but that's not really Spinoza's likeness. It's merely an image from some artist's imagination, derived from a few lines of written description. If there were drawings of Spinoza made during his lifetime, none have survived." Maybe a story about sheer elusiveness, I wondered. While I was examining the lens-grinding apparatus in the second room, also not his own equipment, the museum placard stated, but equipment similar to it, I heard one of my hosts in the library room mention the Nazis. I stepped back into the library. What? The Nazis were here, in this museum? Yes, several months after the Blitzkrieg of Holland, the ERR troops drove up in their big limousines and stole everything. The books, a bust, and a portrait of Spinoza. Everything. They carted it all away, then sealed and expropriated the museum. ERR. What do the letters stand for? Einsatzstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg. The task force of Reichsleiter Rosenberg. That's Alfred Rosenberg, the major Nazi anti-Semitic ideologue. He was in charge of looting for the Third Reich, and under Rosenberg's orders the ERR plundered all of Europe. First just the Jewish things, and then, later in the war, anything of value. So then these books are twice removed from Spinoza? I asked. You mean that books had to be purchased again, and the library reassembled a second time? No, miraculously these books survived, and were returned here after the war with just a few missing copies. Amazing. There's a story here, I thought. But why did Rosenberg even bother with these books in the first place? I know they have some modest value, being 17th century and older, but why didn't they just march into the Amsterdam Rijksmuseum and pluck a single Rembrandt worth 50 times this whole collection? No, that's not the point. The money had nothing to do with it. The ERR had some mysterious interest in Spinoza. In his official report, Rosenberg's officer, the Nazi who did the hands-on looting of the library, added a significant sentence. They contain valuable early works of great importance for the exploration of the Spinoza problem. You can see the report on the web if you like. It's in the official Nuremberg documents.
Para seguir escuchando este audiolibro gratuitamente, haz clic en el enlace de la descripción y podrás escucharlo completo sin coste gracias a la prueba de 30 días de Audible.